giving birth.
Okay. Kalau misalnya
We saw that back message affect the intensity of pain in the one stage of labor. Back message in maternity mother will reduce the intensity of labor pain in the first stage. And then this success show that message can provide pressure to prevent or inhibit pain impulse originating from the pelvic and uterine corpus using the gate control theory. By using force, pain that radiates from different fibers to get to the thalamus becomes blocked. And then pain sensation are transmits along the sensory nerves to the brain, and only a certain number of feeling or message can be transmitted through this nerve pathway at a time. By, by using the neural pathway message technique for the perception of pain, this can be inhibited or reduced, then the intensity of pain felt by the mother is reduced. And tension does not occur, so that in effective uterine contraction due to pain can be prevented, that prolonged labor does not happen. And then the result of Ariani's research 2015 years conclude that back message affected endorphin level in the first stage of labor during the latent phase of everyday labor. This indicates a strong relationship between endorphin level and pain intensity in the first stage of work. Endorphin act as neuromodulators and inhibit in the sending of pain message. The studies differ in the time of research time, study design, number of research subject, and intervention used. Intervention provides but comprehensive studies consistent support the benefit of message to reduce labor pain. And then message is one of non-pharmacological method used to reduce labor pain. And pain is one of the natural different mechanism of the human body, which is a warning of danger. In pregnancy, pain attack tell the mother that she has entered the labor phase. Pain during labor does not need to be eliminated, but is imperative to manage pain will individually. And then conclusion, based on the study result, most of them were at 20 until 35 years with higher education level and must wear multigravida. And back message in labor mother affected the intensity of pain in the first stage of labor. Therefore, for puskesmas or health institution to always carry out the Ministry of Health program, namely maternal care, or to provide comfort during childbirth by controlling pain during labor drug non-pharmacological technique. Likewise, a midwife in the field as birth attendants apply method of relieving labor pain naturally and teach families how to message to reduce pain during one stage of labor, especially for midwife education to continue to equip students with theories and skill in providing childbirth care, and especially skill to reduce labor pain naturally and become one of the competition that must be possessed in childbirth care. Okay, that's our presentation, and then I will return to the moderator. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for the second presenter, Mr. M. Supriyatno and team from Universitas Wiraraja Sumeneb, Indonesia. It's about backmassing intervention effective to reduce the intensity of labor pain active phase 1. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, now to the question and answer session. I'd like to have 3 questions from the participants. For the first answer, okay, sorry for the first questions. You can join us now. Okay, the first question, please.
Excuse me, moderator.
Yes.
Can you hear my voice?
Okay, Miss Kustiawati
Okay.
Ningsih, it's very
Okay.
clear for me.
Yes, it's just an advice.
Okay.
For this room, I think use parallel system for the presenter. So the question can apa itu bareng-bareng gitu loh Bu, maksudnya disatukan paralel gitu Bu.
Okay, it means that you get your presenters after finish. You can ask about question. Is it right?
I think the bit
I,
is
I
Yeah.
mean
you
that.
have to
I mean that after the presenter has
Yes, maybe.
present about their article, it's
So
time to ask
the
about a question.
on presenter.
Yes, that's I mean.
Yes.
okay, ma'am, maybe
Okay.
it's my suggestion, yeah.
There is any question?
Okay, regarding to the suggestion before that, maybe it's better to us to present our material before, and then we can make a suggestion or maybe question and answer automatically in the last session of the program. Maybe it is my suggestion, ma'am.
Okay, thank you actually for the advice and also the suggestions. Actually for room 1 till room 5, we have the same sessions. That is, one by one, the presenters will present their article, and after that, we will give question and answer sessions. Hello? We can continue to question and answer sessions.
Yes.
Maybe there is any
Okay, so
Yes.
the
Continue
next
to
time
the next
for
presenter.
question and answer.
And
Okay, if there is no questions, I will go to the next presenter.
yes,
Okay,
I think
so
enough.
there is no question, yeah, for the second presenters. And now it's the third presenter, Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani from India. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, okay. Okay, time is yours, Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani.
Okay, can I start?
Okay, you can start now.
Right. Is it visible? Whether screen is visible?
Okay, Mr. Satish, you can start.
I'm asking whether screen is visible or not, ma'am.
Yes, it's visible. It's clear enough.
Right. So my topic of presentation is what determines the working capital behavior of Indian pharmaceutical firms actually. And this is very helpful for everybody because working capital is the type of things which is required in every business. So this is my topic, and this is the presentation flow. I'll start with the introduction, then I'll go for objective, then I'll move to motivation of the study, which is very important. Why do we do study? So that's why it is very important. So motivation for study, we'll go and we'll show some glimpses of review of literature. Then I'll go for methodology, what type of samples and from where I have taken, and what type of models I've used in my study. Then result analysis and conclusion, as you told. If we go, because it is multidisciplinary type of conference, so obviously people from different stream are present here. So before going for my presentation, I will define working capital. So working capital is something, which is something expense. This is the type of expense which is needed by every business for daily expenses requirement. So daily to daily expenses are there, like raw materials you have to purchase, you have to pay labor, you have to pay labor charges, you have to pay for maintenance. There are different type of daily expenses in a business, and to satisfy and to fulfill all that requirement in terms of financing is called working capital requirement. So this is one thing. Second thing, if we segregate industry in two parts, one part as a service industry and second part as a manufacturing industry. So for manufacturing industry, working capital required more as compared to service industry, because manufacturing is the process where different type of expenses required every day. First thing is raw material, labor, factory overheads, admin overheads. There's so many things as compared to service. If you go for banking or other sectors, you don't need a banking, IT, you don't need that much of working capital requirement. So why pharmaceutical firms? Because pharmaceutical firms are manufacturing sector actually, and they are very dominating. There are certain type of figures and facts which I used to tell you. Generally, when we talk about working capital requirement and daily cash requirement, this started from the subprime crisis which happened in 2008 in US. When this crisis came in US, generally finance manager took into the consideration that we need more fund, because after 2008 up to 11 or 12, all financial managers realized, in America I'm talking about, realized that we should hold more cash in our hand to fulfill the requirement of working capital. So you can see US financial manager was seeking to shrink cost and liberate cash tied in operations. So this is one thing. And when we talk about working capital requirement, we keep working capital in different form, right? So if you go for current assets, you will find so many things like, bills payable, bills receivable. So all that part of working capital, when we go for certain formula, current assets, current liabilities. Second fact, which is very important actually, that more as a finance manager of a company, 60% of time of financial manager, is spent to manage working capital. So around 60%, which is very valuable time. And you can understand that how significant or how important this working capital requirement is. When we talk about corporate finance, there are three themes very important. One is capital structure, second one is capital busting, and third one is working capital requirement. When we go for the researches, Many research articles and many resources are available out here. But when we talk about empirical research, abundant, or you can say sufficient literature is available for you can say capital structure, for capital budgeting. But when we talk about capital requirement, there are very less working capital, very less work is done. Means very less research paper is available for working capital requirement, which is telling about that. And most probably when we go for working capital requirement, mostly literature is telling the relationship between financial performance and relationship between financial performance and working capital. But no one is telling, or very rare people or very rare researches is telling about what the important factors which determines the working capital requirement, because it is very important. If financial managers know very well that these are the factors like company size or company profit or return on equity or different things, GDP, inflation, what influence working capital requirement significantly, then the task of financial manager will become easy, right? So our objective of this study is what? My paper is empirically analyze who are the determinants of working capital for Indian pharmaceutical firms who are listed in Bombay Stock Exchange 500. BSE 500, which is the stock exchange, very popular stock exchange where top 500 companies are listed in terms of India, right? If we go for motivation of study, so these are certain facts about India, that Indian pharmaceuticals are dominating world. Even in pandemic situations, we came to know that even America is asking India for medicine, supplying medicine and all and all. So you can see that more than 50% of global demand is satisfied by Indians, right? And different type of vaccines as well. So 40% of generic, generic demand for US, and 25% all medicine in UK. So country like UK and US are largely depend on Indian supply of medicines. That's why Indian pharmaceutical sector is dominating world. India contributes the second largest share of pharmaceuticals and biotech workforce as well. Means many people are working in, people are working, large number of people working in this sector as compared to the world. We are number two. When we talk about top 500 Indian firms, we're including pharmaceutical firms, very big fact and very eye-catching facts come into came into the came into the knowledge that around 5.3 trillion cash can be saved if Indian company would have care about optimum utilization of working capital. So this is very important facts. It means 5.3 trillion was wastage because of insufficient because of not proper care of working capital requirement. When we go about Indian companies, they are not very good performer in working capital management as compared to their global counterpart. This is one thing. Second thing is that when we talk about working capital requirement, a cash conversion cycle means this is the time period when you get your cash back, because most of the business is done on credit basis, right? So you can see our cash conversion cycle is 0.3 days, right? Third thing is that this is motivation for study. India is one of the largest pharmaceutical market in the world. But when we talk about working capital, it means what are the determinants of working capital requirement for pharmaceutical firms, right? Because it varies from industry to industry. I have chosen a pharmaceutical firm, so obviously there are certain facts, there are certain type of determinants which determine, which fix the, which influence the working capital requirement of Indian firms, right? Pharmaceutical firms. So our study is among very few study, as per my knowledge, that we are the one who is doing this study in Indian context. One study is done in Egypt concept. Paper is very good. That is published in ABDC this one. So, so when we go to calculate working capital requirement, there are two way of calculating working capital requirement. One is cash conversion cycle, and second is working capital requirement. So we are having two proxies. This is the two way of calculating working capital requirement, working capital management. Because working capital management, it seems like behavioral type of words, but if we talk about working capital requirement and cash conversion cycle, so there are two formula by which we can calculate working capital requirement and cash conversion cycle. So we are taking two proxies for working capital management. So there are certain review of literature on your screen. You can see around 126 researches is been done, which have been published from 1980 to 2012. But it is very sorry state that all these articles are just focusing on financial performance and its relation with the working capital requirement. And most of the study is the replica of another one, and they are not yielding very fruitful result. If you go for some other study, you can see that mostly study are using either cash conversion cycle or working capital requirement. But they both, they mostly the study have not used both as one study point. So now you can see a review of literature. Review of literature is what? Working capital as a proxy of working capital management was significantly influenced by firm value, and many people are supporting this fact.
Okay, Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani. Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani. Hello? Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani. Hello? Okay, Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani, still with me? Okay, now, still waiting the response for Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani. The article is about what determines the working capital behavior pharmaceutical firms. Hello? Okay, now, I just want to going directly for the session of question and answer. Maybe there is any question according to Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani article. Hello, no one? Okay, if there is no questions, according to this article, I will going for the next presenter. Come to Miss Kustiawati Ningsih from Universitas Islam Madura. Hello?
Halo.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Miss Kustiawati Ningsih. Now, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator.
You're welcome.
And, good morning, everyone in this room, for our participant. May you help me to share screen my presentation to the moderator?
So I'm back actually.
Please help me. Oh,
Should I
Mr. Satish.
can I start again? Can I start again?
Moderator, Mr. Satish, join this room again.
Can I start again? Because just because of some technical glitches, I was out actually. May I get your permit to start again?
Okay, I'm so sorry for Miss Kustiawati Ningse. May you wait for a moment. Okay, now
Yes.
Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani,
No problem.
you want to continue?
Okay, right. Thank you.
Okay.
So I was talking about, is it visible right now? Yeah. So you can see, I'll try to finish it out very soon. Methodology, what happened? Study period is 10 years from 2011 to 2020, because I've not taken next 2 years because there was too much fluctuation in the market. That's why because of pandemic and corona and COVID, you can say. So that's why I have not taken the COVID period into consideration of my study. Data source is Provis and balance panel data of 28 listed pharmaceutical firms. Actually, the number of firms were more, but because some of the firms did not provide full information, so they were so that's why they were considered at so you can see on your screen that this is the way of period plus account receivable period minus account payable period. So this is the way we calculated inventory, cash conversion cycle, and net working capital. Uh, Net working capital by total assets is working capital requirement. What other factors are influencing working capital requirement and cash conversion cycle are independent variable, like operating cash flow, which is calculated by operating cash flow by total assets, then growth, return on assets, Tobin skew, age, size, leverage, economic condition, which is called as GDP, gross domestic product, inflation as well. So we have taken all these independent variable, which decide the working capital requirement and cash conversion cycle of Indian pharmaceutical firms. So as you can see on your screen, working capital requirement and cash conversion cycle, we use two formulas, two models actually, and these are empirical model, regression model, working capital requirement and cash conversion cycle. Other things are same, and we'll go for result actually. So if I go for result, you can see what actually happened. Just a minute. So this is the basic summary. I will not discuss too much about that. We'll go for empirical result. We run a regression model, OLS, and this is to check the validity, because we wanted to know whether there is any problem with the data side or not. So we checked validity and we found that our model is facing a certain type of endogenous problem, endogeneity. So some variables are endogenous, like leverage and size. So this model was not fit, so we have not gone through fixed effect and random effect. Even we can go, but GMM was there. So we used GMM actually, which is a strong estimator, which if any data is having endogeneity problem, so we can go with GMM. So we applied GMM to know the effect, and we found certain results out here. So you can see in our study, first we try to find out whether working capital requirement is determined by OCF, whether OCF growth, operating cash flow, growth, return on assets, top and skew, age, size, leverage, GDP, inflation are having effect over working capital requirement or not. So we are very happy, not happy with our result is significant. Except inflation, you can see our result is significant. So some of the facts out here which we can say ki how it's possible. I'm not going to explain everything out here, but leverage is important and GDP is important, because the question comes ki why, if GDP is going down, why working capital requirement is increasing, and what about leverage? So when we more levered form means pharma company is more indebted. If you are more indebted, so obviously so what would happen, working capital requirement, I mean, you will spend more on paying interest over the debt, against the debt, right? So in that condition, this relationship can be justified, means leverage to working capital requirement. And GDP, so when any economy going depressed, so obviously some of the pharmaceutical firms or the most of the pharmaceutical firms are depressed, and they think about ki what would happen in next. So that's why they just take more working capital, and they want to. And second thing, they are having the expectation that next time the market will be very good. This is the just a this is just a um, um, this is a problem for certain movements, and they when economy is depressed, so obviously sometimes the raw material is found very cheap, so they try to purchase because of speculative motive. So that's the reason behind that. If you go for cash conversion cycle, you can go and see the result out here, that cash conversion cycle is significantly associated with ROA and Tobin skew. So Tobin skew means which tells the value of the firm. If value of the firm is more, it means working capital requirement is more. So I'll discuss only 2 or 3 things out here. Tobin skew is having the positive relationship with the cash conversion cycle. Why? Because if cash conversion cycle and Tobin skew, I mean, it is found that cash conversion cycle is lengthy or going more, I mean, larger than Tobin skew is more. It means business is doing more, business is more focused on credit sales, and somehow did not get time to manage the cash conversion cycle or credit and all. So this may be one reason. And if you go for size, if size is increasing, cash conversion cycle is decreasing. It means when firm is getting grower and grower, I mean, getting growth, so obviously they develop a relationship with the suppliers and creditors. So on that time, they manage it. Credit, I mean, credit sales are managed, and they could manage the cash conversion cycle, and they start paying, relatively with lesser time periods. So this is very important for the people, and my study is very important in the sense of finance manager, because this study will help finance manager to more focus on optimizing working capital management. More the working capital management is optimized, well fully planned and controlled, obviously the firm performance will increase. And this is all about from my sides. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani from India. Now it's time for question and answer sessions about what determines the working capital behavior pharmaceutical firms. For other participants, if you have any questions, you can directly join us now. Okay, hello. Okay, if there is no questions, I will go into the next presenters. Thank you once more for Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani from India for your good presentations. And now come to Miss Kristiati Ningsih from Universitas Islam Madura. Hello?
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Time is yours now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Please help to share the present material. Moderator, can you help me? There is share screen here. Mr. Satish, please close your share screen. Hello?
Okay, Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani, help me please to close your share screen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I want to present my article with the title is Food Consumption Patterns and Degree of Household Food Security of Rice Farmers During the COVID-19 Pandemic. Next, moderator. Okay. Introduction, the background of this research is, as we know that COVID-19 pandemic disease caused the condition of food security in East Java province in 2015. During 2020 experienced an increase in rice production by 6.70% per year. The population food consumption is decreasing, so is contra yeah. This is the condition is contra, where 48.32% of the population have the potential to experience food insecurity. So the current pandemic COVID-19 faced by the people of Pamekasan Regency, especially rice farmers in Santol village, Ademau, causes food access to be very low, so that it can affect food consumption patterns and the degree of food security of rice farming. Next. Next, please. Okay. And methodology of this research is the basic methods is using descriptive analytical method, case study. The research was conducted in Santol village in Pamekasan Regency. Sources of data obtained through primary data and secondary data, and the number of sample is 35 rice farmer household in Santol village. And method of sampling is using quota sample method. Next. Next, moderator.
Next.
So data analysis methods, we use this formula for farmers' household food consumption. Next. And for farmer household food consumption assessment, we use this formula when we find energy consumption rate and protein consumption rate. Next. So based the data analysis method, we can get TKG classification. There is 4 classification: good, medium, minus, and deficit. Next. Beside that, we use analysis method data for household food security. There is we can see in the matrix table 1, there is four part in the matrix. Part 1 is food security, part 2 food vulnerability, part 3 lack of food, and part 4 food insecurity. Next. Okay. Findings. There is table 2 for rice farmer family energy and protein consumption. Table 2 show that various pattern of families, especially rice farmer in Central Village. There is 4 pattern. Yes, they usually consumption. Next. Like that, in the table 3, we can see that energy and protein consumption and nutrition consumption on for rice farmers. There is a number that show in table 3.
Table.
TKG. We can see in the row 3 that TKG per person per day, it's about 63. That show that deficit because the number is under 50%. It is according to TKG classification that I say the next. Next, we can see in the table 4, energy and protein consumption and TKG members of rice farmer. There is 4 family members, has husband, housewife, son, and daughter. Average of consumption for energy, it is under, we can see in the table 4, TKG average for family members has number under 70%. That showing that TKG. Next to table 5, this is the distribution of TKE and TKP of rice farmers. Based table 5, we can see that number of household average minus in classification, because there is 16 number of household, most their TKE is under 70%. Next. And this is the finishing about household food security. So we can see in the table 6, distribution of rice farmer, household food security in Sental village. This matrix show that almost household farmer 82.15% is in the classification food vulnerability. Next. So the conclusion, we can see that according to findings, and we can give recommendation. In first recommendation is increase the yield of rice production through intensification activities, and the application of post-harvest technology so as to increase household income. Second, optimizing the use of land as an alternative to farming other than the main farming business, so that it can provide additional income outside of rice farming. And third, to reduce non-food expenditure that are less beneficial, such as cigarette consumption, and shift them to more beneficial ones, such as spending on education. Next. In the end, I would say Mator Sakalangkong in Maduris, thank you in English, and because most of presenter there are from India, I would say Shukriya. Thank you.
Can I have a
Time is returned to moderator.
I have a question actually, if question and answer session is started.
Yes, moderator. Hello.
Can I ask any question? I'm Satish Tiwani from India.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for Ms. Kustiawati Ningse for your presentation. And now it's come to the session of question and answer. Come to the first question.
I have a question, ma'am.
Okay, this is Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani, is it right?
Yeah.
Okay, I will give the directly opportunities for you to ask directly to Ms. Kustiawati Ningse. Ms. Kustiawati?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
you can directly respond the question, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
have a question because as presenter told that she adopted primary data as well as secondary data. So what type of questionnaire you used for primary data? This is one question. Whether you check the validity of questionnaire, because as per the result, I'm thinking and I find that there are missing. There are something missing. This is one question. And this is second question is that your sample size is around 30 or something. So if I don't know the population of that village and I don't know the population of that district. I don't know. But do you think that that is small size of this population will represent entire community? This is my second question. Third questions, what are the sources of secondary data?
Okay, for
Yes.
Miss Kustiwati Ningse, you get the point? Clear enough for you? Or maybe you want Mr. Satish to repeat?
Repeat for first question, please.
For Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani, maybe you can state one by one for your questions. After the first questions directly answer, you can go to the next
Okay.
question.
First question is that presenter told that she has used primary data as well as secondary data. So
Yes.
whether you are having questionnaire right now.
Yes, of course.
So to check the validity of questionnaire, which tool you used in your study?
I don't check the validity, but I'm using sample method is the quota.
No, what is the source of questions? Because you cannot make any questions and you can ask, because sometimes that question is not comfortable with the people or the interviewer you are asking. So if there is no validity of your questionnaire, if we don't know which question you ask, how can we say that this is done and this is not done? This is
Yes,
one. So you have denied that you don't have you have not checked any validity, right?
Okay.
no, because I use quota sample method, Mister.
No,
Uh,
no.
purposive sampling.
Sampling is different thing. Question is different thing. This is one thing. Okay, tell me, why did you choose only 32 or this one? Because a village or district is a large actually, right? And why you have chosen only COVID? Is there any difference? Because in normal course of action, people also consume same food.
Please, moderator, please help me.
Why you choose the title of the COVID-19? Is it right for Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani? Hello? Hello, sorry. Hello?
You're asking to me, ma'am?
Well, okay, for Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani,
Yeah.
you can offer for one question only, please. Maybe it's too fast for you to talk or pronounce some things different with our culture. So for the first question, is it right that you want to ask Mrs. Kustiwati Ningse why you choose about the COVID-19 for the title in food consumption and food security? Is it right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kustiwati Ningse. Can you answer directly?
Okay.
Why you choose the title about food consumption and food security for COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay. I think I have explained this background of research that the condition of food security in East Java province East Java province is include Madura. In 2015 is increased, but the condition is contra with the population food consumption, where is decreasing. So this is the background of this research. Can
No, I don't think. I don't think this is a reason. Please, this is my kind suggestion. Please take, don't take otherwise. This is my condition, suggestion. Please, when you go to present your research paper, you must be knowing that what you are going to present, right? But your presentation was good. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Satish. Shukriya.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Satish. We come to the next questions for other participants. Hello? Okay, if there is no questions, I want to go to the next presenter.
Hi, I'm here only.
Oh, okay. For Dr. Israt Jahan, is it right?
Yes. Yes. I'm here.
Okay, you want to ask some question for Miss Christiane Ningsih? One question only, yeah?
Can I start sharing my PPT?
Oh, sorry, you want to get presentations?
Actually, your voice is not clear, so I'm not able to get you. What are you saying?
Hello?
Hello?
Actually, do you want to present your PPT?
No, can I only share?
You want to offer some question? Okay, for Miss Christiane Ningsih, thank you for your good presentations. And now we go to the next presenter. Sorry, the next presenters will be Miss Nanda Farde from University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun, India.
Hello?
Nanda Farde.
Hello?
Hello. This is Miss Nanda Farde. This is Miss Nanda Farde. For Dr. Israt Jahan.
Yes, hello.
Please close your share screen because now it's time for Miss Nanda Farde.
Nitish sir, hello. Are you there? Satish, hello, Satish sir. Can you hear me?
हाँ मैडम बोलिए.
Sir, can you tell me she is calling my name? Actually, I'm not able to get her voice clearly.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, Miss Nanda Farde.
Okay, so she is calling my name only, na?
Israt ma'am, actually what is happening? She was taking another name. Now she is agree for your presentation. You can start.
Okay, thank you.
I'm so sorry. This is Miss Nanda Farde.
Fitra, can I start?
Okay, your name please.
I'm Dr. Ishrat.
Okay, Dr. Israt Jahan. Okay,
Yes.
if you want to start first, actually the time is for Miss Nanda Farde. You can start first.
Okay, so I'm starting my presentation. So good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Ishrat Jahan. Currently, I'm working as an assistant professor in the Department of Economics at Gargotia's University, UP, that is in India. My topic is role of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme and Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana in development in state of Uttar Pradesh. According to CMIE report, that is done in September 2021, India is the second largest country in the world with the rural population of 68.84%. However, rural development has always been an important issue in all discussion about economic development, especially in the developing country like India, throughout the world, as well as in state of UP. Rural development is a strategy to design to improve the economic and social life of rural poor. Rural development is a process which aims at improving the well-being and self-realization of people living outside the urbanized areas through the collective process. However, India is emerging as a strong economy and committed to bringing about rapid and sustainable economic growth through various reforms. So these reforms include rural development programs that sharply focus on people's participation in the process of integrated development. Rural development in India has further progressed through various policies, programs, schemes that have been initiated by the Government of India since its independence. So according to Census 2011, UP, Uttar Pradesh has a population of 19.98 crore comparatively from the figure 16.62 crore in 2001 census. And if I'm talking about the area, the UP covers 2,40,928 square kilometer, in which rural areas cover 234.37 square kilometer and urban areas cover only 6.56 square kilometer. And we can see the account for 7.3% of the total country. It is 73% of the total country UP covers the area, and which is the fifth largest state of the country. That's why I have chosen the sample size state of UP. The main objective of Indian government since its independence is the overall development of the country. The Ministry of Rural Development is striving to bringing about rapid and sustainable and socio-economic transformation in rural sector with an integrated approach towards improving the quality of rural poor and ensuring the equity and effective people participation. So rural development includes measures to strengthen the democratic structure of society through Panchayati Raj institution and to improve the rural infrastructure, improving the rural household delivery system about education, health, and safety mechanism. So for this purpose, central government as well as state government initiated various schemes. So central government has launched various schemes like Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, National Rural Health Mission, and Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. And some of the schemes are sponsored by the UP state government like Ambedkar Gram Sabha Vikas Yojana, Mahamaya Garib Balika Awas Yojana, Lohiya Awas Yojana, Uttar Pradesh Mukhyamantri Mahamaya Garib Arthik Madat Yojana, etc. The objectives of my study is, there are three objectives of my study. The first objective of my study is to assess out the extent to which objective of the program have been achieved. The second objective is to examine the financial performance of Manrega and Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana in state of UP. And the third objective is to study the fiscal performance of both the schemes, Manrega and Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, in state of schemes. I have taken 4 hypotheses for my study. The first hypothesis is financial performance is improving over the period. The second hypothesis is there is a growth in employment generation by the scheme of Manrega. And the third hypothesis of the study, there is increment in total availability of fund of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. And the last hypothesis of my study is fiscal performance of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana is accelerating over the period. So the sample size I have chosen the whole state of UP, and this paper is based on the secondary data. Most of the data is collected from the site that is narega.nic.in for finding fiscal and financial performance of Manrega scheme, and most of the data is collected by the site pmgsy.nic.in for analyzing the fiscal and financial performance of the scheme Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So to find the fiscal and financial performance for both these two programs, quantitative research is used. Compound annual growth percentage and percentage of growth is calculated to show the fiscal and financial statement for both the schemes. So the first scheme which I have chosen, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. So this scheme is launched in 2005 on 25th August. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme was originally known as with the name of NREGA, with the abbreviation as National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. The UPA government added MG, which is denoted Mahatma Gandhi, into this scheme, and after that, this scheme is known as MNREGA. MNREGA is a Social Security Employment Act which guarantees employment to poor rural people in India. In rural India, seasonal unemployment, disguised unemployment, migration from rural to urban areas are some major problems. So to overcome these problems, this scheme came into force with the following objectives. So the first objective of this scheme is to provide employment to unskilled and rural poor, and the second objective is to provide at least 100 days employment for sustainable livelihood in a year. And the third objective is to create sustainable asset for rural development. And the fourth objective of this scheme is to reduce number of migration from rural to urban areas. This table belongs to the financial performance of MNREGA in UP. So we can see from this table, the total availability of fund is increasing from 2017-18 to 2019-20. But we can see there is a sharp increment in 2020-21. This sharp increment is because the government want to spend more fund to meet the needs of employment, because most of the people started migrating due to COVID-19 from urban areas to rural areas. So that's why government want to spend more fund to create employment opportunities. That's why government increased by 55% of fund in the particular year, that is 2020-21. And again, we can see there is a sharp decline in the total availability of fund by 55%, because again, when COVID-19 situation is improving, so again people started migrating from rural areas to urban areas to get their job backs. The same thing is happening in the total expenditures also. There is a sharp increase in total expenditure by 53% in 2020-21, because the total availability of fund is increasing. So that's why government are now able to spend more fund to create employment in state of UP. And again, the total expenditure is decreasing by 50%, because the total fund is decreased. So government will not be able to expend more fund. Government has decreased by 55%. So that's why total expenditure is also increasing by 50%. In the last column, we can see the percentage of utilization of fund. So we can see the total percentage of utilization of fund is almost 90, 96, 98. So most of the fund we can see the government is utilizing whatever fund is given by the central government. So in this chart is also belongs to the financial performance of MNREGA in UP. So blue color line is showing the total availability of fund, and green color line is showing the total expenditure. So we can see as total fund is increasing by the government, total expenditure is also increasing. So both total fund and total expenditure is moving in the same direction. This is also showing the total utilization of fund. The next table is showing the fiscal performance of MNREGA in states of UP only. So we can see the total household work is improving over the period, and total individual work is also not improving over the period 2017-18 to 2022, 21-22. It means government are spending more fund in this scheme, but government is not able to provide employment opportunities in the state of UP. This chart is also belongs to the fiscal performance of MNREGA, which is again showing the same thing which I have mentioned in the earlier table. The next scheme which I am taking is Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana is launched in December 2000 as a 100%. This is the scheme which is 100% centrally sponsored scheme with the objective of connecting every village by all-weather roads. The main objectives of this scheme is to provide connectivity to the unconnected habitation in rural areas by way all-weather roads. This program has also another objective is to permit upgrade the existing road according to prescribed standard in those districts where all the habitation of the designed population size provided by weather roads connectivity. However, it noted that upgradation is not central to the program and cannot exceed 20% of the state allocation as long eligible habitation in state is still exists. So this table is again showing the financial performance of MNREGA in state of UP. So we can see the total fund is increasing over the period and the percentage of growth is also positive. The total expenditure is also increasing. Percentage of utilization was only 43% in 2017-18, but it is improving and it is reached 81% in 2021-22. I have calculated compound annual growth rate to show whether total fund, total expenditure, percentage of utilization improving. So I have found that total expenditure is improving most between these three. This chart is showing the same thing which is mentioned in the earlier table. Total cost is showing the total fund by of the scheme and total green line is showing the total expenditure. We can see both the lines is moving in the same direction. It means as total fund is increasing over the period, total expenditure is also increasing over the period from 2017-18 to 2021-22. This table is showing the fiscal performance of MNREGA in the state of UP. Sanctioned road length which is given in kilometer. So this sanctioned road is the target by the government and completed road length is completed work. So the percentage of completed work was only 55% in 2017-18, but we can see as time is increasing, the percentage of work completed is also increasing from 55% to 94% in 2021-22. This chart is again showing the fiscal performance of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana in the state of UP. So there are some key findings of my study. There is a growth in availability of fund and expenditure in both the scheme, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana and Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. There is a proper utilization of fund in both the schemes, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana and Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, and growth in total individual worker and household in Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, and the connectivity of roads are increasing over the period. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Dr. Israt Jahan from Georgia University, India. Thank you for your presentations. And now come to the session of question and answer. Okay, if there is any question, you can join us and we can start now.
Is that ma'am? This is Satish Tiwani actually.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. So is that ma'am? I have a question. Right now I am assistant professor in IBH Hyderabad. So
Okay, sir.
so you are teaching in Galgotia, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is your PhD work or some article?
This is my research paper.
Research paper, right? So this is your research paper. Very good. You started research paper, but is it, ma'am? Because the information you have given, every information what you have given in financial performance, physical performance, and I was listening everything very carefully. But I found that everything is available in UP handbook. All these information is available in government of India, like MSME. You go MSME handbook, you go for SIDBI handbook, annual reports. Every information is available, whatever you told. So how your research is different to that report? This is my first question.
Sir, how?
How
What were you saying?
what is difference between the reports, because all these information is available in different government reports, so how your research is different to government reports?
So in government reports, whatever I have seen, only the data is available. There is no explanation of these data, of those datas.
No, explanation cannot be your own idea actually, because what you have told or what you have justified is your own idea. It is not backed by any type of thing.
So I have chosen only the secondary data. I have not chosen any primary data. So whatever my result is given here, that will be only based on the secondary data, whatever information is provided, whatever side I have taken my data. So as data is increased or decreased, the paper or the findings will be based on only on that. If I have chosen any primary data, so in that condition I can see my research is secondary data, the growth is increasing, but I have seen that primary through the primary data it is not matching with the secondary data.
No, we can observe the effect of cause and effect through regress. Even in secondary data, by taking secondary data, we can use regression, and we can find the effect and
Yes, sir. Yeah, sir. But my topic is only to show the fiscal and financial performance. You can see the evaluation. I have not I have not showing any impact of these Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana and Mahatma Gandhi Sadak Yojana on SDI, on education, on another thing. So I think every research article or research paper is belonging to a particular specific line. So maybe some research use regression or correlation. I have done a work with the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, and I have calculated the correlation between Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme's cost is increasing. Average cost which is provided by this scheme is increasing over the period. So how it is improving human development index? So I have found in that research there is a positive relation between average cost per day which is provided by Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Scheme and Human Development Scheme. But in this particular research, I am not using any regression. I am not showing any impact. I am just showing only the you can see the performance over the period, and I have chosen the data from 2017-18 to 2021-22.
I've seen, ma'am, because you have presented, so I know I have seen every information.
I know, sir. You can ask any question, but when you are writing any research paper or research article, you have a specific purpose to write anything. Maybe there are many research which are showing the impact on different factors. I'm not showing any factors. I'm just showing here only the performance over the period.
What I'm telling you, ma'am. What I'm telling you, ma'am.
Sir, some voice is coming from the other side. I think so. I cannot hear you properly.
I'm telling ma'am that this is a simple article. It's not a research paper. It's not a research paper.
So, because, sir, I have seen so many research which is only showing. I have seen one paper that is showing only the objectives of the different stream. That is not showing the performance.
That is also, that is, ma'am,
so
sorry to say, that is also not research paper, ma'am.
So that is not called research paper, but
This is article only, simple article. It's not a research paper.
Maybe you are right, but I have seen so many research papers which is
No,
not showing
you
any
go,
methodology, which is
go,
only on the based on the qualitative research, which is not
you go.
Okay,
If
now
you
Mr. Satish Chandra
sources,
Tiwani
sources,
and
sources,
Miss
sources of
Israt Jahan.
sources of empirical
I'm so
researches
sorry,
are
because time is
Scopus,
running. I'm so sorry once
SCI,
more. Because
ABDC
time is
listed
running
journal. You go
for
and you
Dr.
can go.
Israt Jahan.
Sir, can I ask one question? Those research who are not published in Scopus and Index, whatever you
No,
are
I
saying,
don't
that
say.
is not called
I don't
research.
say. What I'm telling is that if you go for good research paper, they will not accept that
Yeah,
type of articles. This is article. This is not research paper.
sir, what about those research paper who are not using any data, who are only based on the qualitative research? That research is not called
Yeah,
research paper.
Thank you
exactly.
for Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani
So
for your
that research
question.
paper is
And
not
thank you
are not
for
called research paper.
Dr.
I'm
That
telling
will be
you.
Israt
called
I'm
only
telling you.
research
I'm
Jahan,
telling
articles.
you.
sir.
Even
I
you
think
don't
the
use
time
any
is running
quality
now. I
quantity
will
or
go
any
to the next
information.
presenter.
Even though that people are they published, but they are high quality of review literature.
So this could be possible.
This will not
Only
publish in any. This paper.
high quality research paper are published on
This is not research paper.
Scopus.
This is only article. This is not research paper. This is
So
simple article.
can I send you some samples which are not based on the primary or
I
secondary
don't
data?
need.
They are not using any
They are
data.
not
They are
research paper.
simply based on the
They are
theory.
not research paper.
So
Sorry
those
to interrupt, Ishrat ma'am and Dr. Satish Tiwari. I think, see, first of all, I will not be biased because I'm also from Galgotia University. But when you are talking in terms of research paper or article, the basic job of a researcher is to increase quantum of information and knowledge on any particular subject. So if it increase the quantum of information and knowledge, I hope it is a good topic to be discussed in the conference. And whether it's a research paper or it's an article, I don't think it's making much difference over there.
Thank you for Mr. Dr. Nitesh Kumar Upadhyay. I think that's enough for the presentation for Dr. Israt Jahan. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you once more for Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani for your question. And now next we go to the next presenter, Ms. Nanda Parde from University of Petroleum and Energy Studies.
Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
This is Ms. Nanda Parde.
Yes. Am I audible?
Okay, Ms. Nanda Parde, you can start your presentation. For Ms. Israt Jahan, you can close your share screen.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible to me.
Hello, Ms. Nanda Parde. Hello. Hello, Ms.
Yes,
Nanda
I
Parde.
can hear you, but it's not audible clearly.
Okay, now it's time for you to present your presentations. Thank you.
Yes, I can give a presentation, but presently, like I am traveling from Mumbai to Dehradun. So right now I cannot upload the PowerPoint presentation. So I will give an oral presentation right now. Is that fine?
Maybe you still need a time. Maybe
Hello?
another presenter can present first. You will wait for
Hello?
another presenter. Hello, Ms. Nanda Parde.
I can, yes, can I give my presentation?
Or maybe you still need a time. You want someone else to present first? No?
No, it's fine. I can give like this, the presentation.
For
That's not
oral
an issue.
presentations only?
Hello?
Hello? You want oral presentation without PPT? Okay, time
Yes.
is yours. You can start now.
Can I start with my presentation?
Let's start. Thank you.
Yes. So good morning, everyone who are present on this platform in the international conference. So my topic will be genetically modified organisms and the genetic crops that we have in India. So the major issues that we are going to study over here is dealing with the farmers' suicide and the controversies that is surrounded around the GMO crops across India, and what is the reason for non-acceptability of the genetically modified crops in India. So, as we know, genetically modified crops are the crops, those are modified with microorganisms which were earlier not present in that particular microorganism, but they are inserted through the technology. That is modern agricultural biotechnology, which is there, and its roots can be traced back to the Green Revolution, which is there. So this kind of crops have started from 1994, and India was also the one who has adapted the same, but it was only limited to bit cotton. And we can see across India that yes, it had given certain promises relating to the bit cotton, and yes, it has increased the yields of the crops. But when it comes to other edible crops, when it comes, they are not being accepted in India because there are lots of safety issues involved with such kind of genetically modified crops. And this genetically modified crops are not only uh, uh, opposed by the public because they are not safe for human consumption, but with that there are other controversies like they are not fit for animal health, for environment, and it is going to affect the environment. And that's why we can see people are not ready to accept it because there are lots of loopholes in the regulatory system in India. There is no consolidated law which can govern genetically modified organism. Yes, we have governing bodies which is under the Ministry of Food Agriculture and the Ministry of Biotechnological Department, where there are four governing bodies, but they are not expertise in this area, because of because of this they are facing controversies. And in the past 10 years, in one decade, we can see this is still not being accepted except of bit cotton. No other crop is being accepted in India. Like bit brinjal was commercialized, but due to the huge controversy in 2009 and thereafter, the genetically engineered appraisal committee has banned it, giving it a complete moratorium to the same. After that, mustard also has came, but still it is not being accepted. When it comes to the Food Safety and Regulatory Authority of India, which is one under its section 22, talks about GMOs, but it is not the one who is governing the entire process of genetically modified organisms. So here we have lots of governing bodies. Even when we talk about the Environmental Act of 1986, it is talking about the environment, but it is not covering the genetically modified organisms or crops into it, which when we are talking it from the environmental perspective. But yes, to some extent, it is governed under the Environmental Protection Act rules relating to the trans-border movements of GMOs and LMOs. But again, it is very restricted in nature. So full-fledgedly, we cannot see that this genetically modified crops are being governed in India, even though they are not commercialized except bit cotton. But other crops, when we are getting it importing in India, they in other countries like US, UK, China, they are using this genetically modified crops which are there, which are being imported. So in past few years, the Center for Earth and Science have done the test on such imported goods, and out of 65 goods, 21 goods were found to be highly genetically modified. And we are having a regulatory body, that is Food Safety and Standard Act, but they are not able to tackle with the same because these are the crops which are genetically modified, and we do not this particular body does not recognize or regulate that particular thing. And because of that, it has come under a heavy controversy. And in hush hush, the Food Safety and Regulatory Authority has passed a regulation act for labeling of GMO crops, but still it has not fulfilled the condition for labeling of genetically modified crops, because over here that particular regulation is not sufficing the purpose, and the body itself has recognized that they are not competent enough to deal with such high modern biotechnology. They are not having that kind of infrastructure in India, and because of that they are lacking behind. Because over here we are getting the labeling on the crops, but it is a normal labeling which is there, but it is not specifically nowhere mentioning that these crops or these food products are the outcome of genetical modification. So this is the second issue which is there when it comes to genetically modified organism. From the farmer's perspective, when we are talking about dealing with the farmer's suicide, it is very difficult to understand what GM crops are. Because GM crops, when any modification, research and developments are done on a particular seeds or something. So the companies which are having done that research and development of the crops, they have a patent over there. And when it comes to the patent, they are being given a monopoly, and that monopoly gives a restrictive measure on the farmers, because the companies are free to decide the prices of those particular goods, and those prices of those seeds are very high, 3 times more than the normal crops, and because of which it is affecting the farmers, and the farmers life becomes at stake, because there is no regulation over there by the companies. Even though we have a seed protection act or the national policy for farmers is there, but that is not regulating, and that's why we can see there are lots of cases relating to the patenting issues of GMOs, because Indian patent regulation system does not specifically govern with modification of the seeds. That is not regulated, but still the companies which are there, like Monsanto's and other companies which are there, or its subsidiaries which are there in India, are having a patent over them, and they are charging a very hefty price on those particular seeds, which are not the farmers, specifically the small farmers or marginal farmers, are not able to buy that particular crops at such a high price, and because of that they take debts, and whatever promises are done by the companies relating to such crops, that they are going to get good yield, they will be pest resistance or insect resistance, they are not being fulfilled. And as the Indian conditions is varying, it is not suitable to the Indian conditions, and that's why specifically in the state of Maharashtra, Vidarbha system, Vidarbha part, we can see that there is lots of farmers suicide, and in past 2-3 years, as per the NCRB data, we can see that almost 3 lakhs of farmers have committed suicide. So here we can see, because of the genetically modified crops or those seeds which are being sold by the companies, the farmers are committing suicide, because they have taken a huge loan for buying those particular crops, but there is a failure of the crops because of various reasons, scanty rainfall, those crops are not suitable. But in other countries, when we are talking about, they are well regulated, but in India it is not regulated. So there is a big issue when it comes to the uh, genetically modified crops. So I have done a comparative analysis of this particular genetically modified crops with India, US, UK, China, and here we can see that the geographical conditions in the environment or the regulatory system which is there in India is lagging behind in various aspects, when it comes to regulatory bodies, when it comes to the law, or whether it comes to the field trials that are being done, because proper risk assessment, risk management is not being done. The four regulatory bodies which are there, they are not competent enough to deal with such issues, because they are not having that kind of infrastructure, laboratories, or they are not having those kinds of experts in that area. Even though there are lots of GM crops which are there in pipeline and ready to be commercialized, but because of such kind of controversies and non-acceptabilities of the public, because they do not have any knowledge on the genetically modified crops, because whatever knowledge they are getting it from only the news channels or whatever controversies they are facing. So here it is, the government's initiative should be taken to aware the public about the pros and cons of the genetically modified crops. Yes, there, whenever we are talking about something new, then it has certain benefits as well as it has certain disadvantage. But then that has to be balanced over here. So the government has to take the initiative to make the public aware, and they should provide certain scientific based data relating to the safety of GM crops. Then only the public will be relying to buy such GM crops. Otherwise, it is very difficult to accept GM crops in India. So there are this kinds of issues are being seen. Some part of the primary data I have done through random sampling, and I have tried to test it. What is the knowledge of the general public relating to GM crops? Many of them have not even heard what is genetically modified crops. And this is a sad situation, and that's why we can see that there is lots of opposition that is coming from the public. They are not accepting the GM crops in India. So the government has to take such kind of initiatives to get the safeguard on the public health, as well as because the huge population that we are having in India needs food, and this food can be served by using modern technology, which can give a high yield, but then it has to be regulated. When something which is not regulated, it creates a chaos in the environment and also on the health safety of the people. And based on the health safety and the damage that is being caused because of the genetically modified crops, these crops are being opposed by the public. And since past 10 years, we are seeing the same controversies which is there in India. So here government has to come up with the policies. Recently, last month in 2022 February, Food Safety and Standard Authority has come up with a regulation draft which is there, and which was open for the public for discussion, what their comments are there. But then since 10 plus years, we are waiting for the same. The government needs to speed up this particular kind of regulations, and the laws has to be at place, looking into the safety aspects and the environmental aspect related with GM crops. And it should be a win-win situation for both the farmers also, and also the consumers and the companies which are manufacturing. So this is what I have to say on genetically modified crops in India. If there are any questions, those are welcome. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for Ms. Nanda Parde. Okay,
Uh,
time for asking question. Because the time is running, you can ask one question.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible to me.
Hello, Ms. Nanda Parde.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Nanda ma'am,
Okay,
Hello?
now it's
she's
time
asking
for
for question
asking
and
a
answer.
question. Okay, time is running. You can ask one question for all participants. Someone want to ask question?
I have a question, Nanda ma'am.
Yes, sir.
First of all,
May I know
Sir, your
your
voice
name?
is not audible. There is some
May I know your
disturbance.
name, please?
ma'am, first of all, I would like to congratulate you because this is a very burning issue, and definitely it's a very big issue. If a government is successful to solve this problem, our production will increase definitely. So because but I see one contradiction, ma'am. If you are agree, for GM crops, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
As far as concern of GM crops, there are certain type of rumors that it is not health friendly. I mean, it's not that much of healthy food. And in contrast, there is a disturbance here. But
Yes, sir, you're audible.
huh,
I can hear
so
you.
there are certain type of rumors like are you agree for
They
that?
are like they are having some toxicity or
Huh,
allergens which are there. When they are labeled, the people
huh,
who are having such allergies, or they know that this
huh,
particular product is going to have an effect on my health, they can
huh,
avoid it. Being a consumer,
right,
I will read the labels and avoid it. That thing is
exactly,
not being followed in India.
right,
So
right.
that needs to be placed by through the laws. We are not having it since
Exactly, exactly.
12 years, and I am working on the same area. This is my PhD topic. I am on the verge of finishing my PhD. So
No, no,
in-depth research I have done. Means almost
no, no,
17 laws are there, but they are chitter pattern, shattered.
no,
No consolidated law is there
no,
when
no.
it
I
comes
can't.
to.
Nanda ma'am, I would like to congratulate you because it's a very good, eye-catching theme. You, one thing. A second thing, what happens? One part, people are thinking that it's not health friendly or something. Some types of rumor, I think. But at the same
Yes,
time,
because
the
there is
people,
no proper channel from
huh,
which they are getting the information about that crop.
huh,
Because then it has to be scientific based. When we scientifically test the result of those GM crops
huh,
and we placed in the public domain, people will get to know, and whatever their views are there, negative views about those crops are there, that will be reduced, and they will slowly start accepting these crops.
and
But that
and
initiative is failing.
and the same time people are accepting organic food very, they are welcoming everywhere.
But
So
then organic food, when we are talking about, it is
hmm,
not going to suffice the food consumption which is
right,
required,
right,
because
agree,
population is growing, and if we see the
exactly.
worldwide statistic when it comes to hunger,
Hmm,
many people every year, millions of people die because of hunger.
exactly,
So
exactly.
modern biotechnology can be an very beneficial to solve that particular problem. Also malnutrition, because this particular kinds of crops can
Huh,
be like they can be having with modification various kinds of nutritional values which are lacking in
exact.
other crops. So that issues can be solved through modern
So,
biotechnology, but
ma'am,
for that we need to work about.
so is there possibility of combination of GM crops as well as organic food? There should be some.
Yes, there is a possibility.
Ha,
There is a possibility, but we need to work on that, because if we
ha,
have a proper regulation on the same,
ha,
both can survive and both can. Because if people who want to go for organic, they can go for the same. Because
ha,
when we are talking about GM crops, they
ha.
can be easily available for the people, and it is a free choice to the consumer which
Right.
they want to buy, because they
Okay.
will have the knowledge about the same, and then
Right.
they can make their own choice based on your consumer laws which are there.
Ma'am, our last question. This is only one question. The
Yes, sir.
performance in without region might be because scarcity of water supply is not that much. But where the water supply is that much, I mean sufficient water supply, where the performance of GP cross is better.
No, sir, because Indian weather conditions are different from US and UK, where it
Okay.
emerged.
Okay.
And we have to have this modified crops according to the weather conditions which are prevailing in India. Because we are having, if we see north, south, east, west, the conditions are totally different. So based on that, we need to have such kind of crops. After doing testing on those
Huh.
confined field trials,
Huh.
which is regulated by the government, because governments are not doing the confined field
Huh.
trials. If
Right.
I have invented the product, I am
Mhm.
going to go and take the approval
Mhm.
and do the field trials, and I am
Right.
only going to submit the report to the government authority which they are approving. So there is certain fishiness which is available over here that need to be rectified, because
Oh,
if I have invented a product, I obviously want to expose it and have commercialize and earn from it. So I am going to give the result which is favoring me. So here the government have to take this free trials.
okay. Okay. Thank you, Nanda ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
sir.
Miss Nanda Parde and Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani, ya. Okay, thank you for good collaboration, I think, ya. And now we are going to the
Thank
next
you for giving me
presenter.
the opportunity. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
of course, welcome. We can go to the next presenter, Mr. Ahmad Ferry Fatoni from Universitas Wiraraja Sumeneb, Indonesia. Hello,
Hello, yes,
Mr.
I'm here,
Ferry
ma'am.
Fatoni. Okay, now it's time for you to present your presentations.
Okay, thank you, and asking for the permission to share my slide. Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, I'm asking permission to share my slide,
Okay,
and it is visible. Method is
it's clear
expression
and
by role
visible.
playing
Okay,
in
good.
teaching, offering, and giving assistance in serving COVID-19 patients. Okay, it means the subject of my research is student of nursing. Okay, because actually I teach in nursing department, especially an English subject. Okay, this is the table of the content of my slide. The first is introduction, the second is method, the third is result, and the last is conclusion. Okay, I begin with the introduction. Providing English subject for nursing students is a real action so that prospective nurse understand the importance of English in their profession. Okay, as we know that, and it is regarding to the first presenter, as we know that English in Indonesia is possession of foreign language, not second language. It means that it's very rare to use in daily communication. Okay, and then the second is there were so many cases about COVID-19 in Indonesia. Okay, I take the data from the Ministry of Health of Indonesia in 2021 that there were 4 million 2062,7 and 20 cases of COVID in Indonesia in 2021. So it's mean that nursing or nurse will get so many information or so many knowledge about the cases, about the illness, about the disease, and then at least they have to know about the vocabulary in English, about the illness, and how to make a receipt or perception about the disease. And then the last is the student need to know some expression and vocabulary to help patient regarding to the disease. Yeah, and to make or to in providing professional nurse in the future, we have to provide them, we have to make some material for them related to English for nurse. Why? Because a professional nurse, they indicate with communication. They can communicate with other person, with other in other language. So this is my introduction. Now it is the step of the art of my slide. Okay, I zoom. In 2016, there was a study by Toharai about effectiveness of role play in teaching vocabulary in Madinah. Okay, and in 2017, their measure made research entitled Effectiveness of Role Play in Teaching Speaking for EFL or English for Foreign Language College in Iraq. And then I make my own research now in 2022 is expression by role playing, teaching, offering, and giving assistance in serving COVID-19 patients. Okay, from this state of the art, we know that according to the Tuharai, okay, I go to next slide. Okay, according to the Tuharai, the using of role play strategy in EFL classes is what while and more effective than using traditional vocabulary in teaching. And then, according to the measure, in role play techniques, students take a new identity and theme to use FL for everyday interaction. And then the second, students' vocabulary improve their experimental group more than control group, but not frequently. It means that the using of role play is effective to increase the vocabulary and then to increase their speaking ability. So that's why I try to make something new by combining, and then I add a variable that is the teaching expression by offering and giving assistance, and I focus on how to make assistance or to how to make a serving for the patient, because we know that until now, up to now, is still active or is still so many cases about COVID-19 virus in Indonesia especially. And then this my objective. The study was aimed to describe the student difficulties in communication, especially in giving and offering help for patient COVID-19. And it is related with my research methodology. Why? Because my research methodology is descriptive qualitative. I describe the difficulties, the students' difficulties in learning on or in make a role playing about how to make out, how to giving or offering assistance for the patient. And the data collection, I have two. The data collection, the first is observation sheet, and then the second is in-depth interview, because I have two instrument of the data collection. The instrument credibility, I use methodology triangulation, because I have more than one method to get the data. I mean, when I teach or when I ask the student to make some conversation as nurse and then as the patient in the conversation, at the time I write something in observation sheet, and then there are difficulties after I get the data about the difficulties, I ask more deeply in interview, in in-depth interview. Okay, actually, there were 42 students in the class, but I use purposive sampling by some criteria. The first is the student with high grade point average. And then the second is for the activists or the student with high interest in organization, because my consideration is the student that have high interest in organization, they have a good vocalization or oral communication. And then the last is the student with low grade point average. So there were 6 participants actually, and then one group consists of 2 students as a nurse and as a patient. And at the data analysis in this research is content analysis or pragmatic. Why? Because according to the observation sheet and according to the in-depth interview, there were some words that repeated frequently. For the example is the word "can I help you?" When the student shove or make a conversation with the patient, when they want to give assistance, they say, "Can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you?" And then it's more than once or more than 2 times. Whereas there are some other expression to say can I help you, or to change the word can I help you, like what can I do for you, or may I help you? Okay, this about
I'm so
my
sorry for Mr. Ahmad Fatoni. Can you make it more fast? Can you make it?
pardon ma'am.
Sorry for Mr. Ahmad Fatoni. Can you make it faster?
Master,
Because we
okay,
have time is running. Thank you
okay,
once more. Okay.
okay. I skip it in my results. Okay, in my result because teaching expression is including in speaking. The first that I get the data is about diction, the diction. Okay, about the dictions. According to the observation sheet, many some students frequently say, "Can I help you?" Frequently for the student. For the example, student A say, good afternoon, Mister. Come in, please." And then for the patient say, good afternoon, sure, thank you." Okay. Nah, it is the problem. Can I help you? Can I help you? It is used more than once or more than 3 times. Okay, according to the interview, the student said that can I help you in giving assistance because the sentence was very familiar with them. Okay, this according to the interview, and then the word was often used while learning English in previous stage was only can. Okay, it means that when they learn English in senior high school or maybe in other college, they only can. They only the word can. That means they have meaning dapat or bisa. Okay, it's about the diction. Okay, and then when the student want to say or want to express a word related with their profession, related with English for health, for the example is I am headache. Okay, but they don't know how to say headache. They say my head feel heavy. My head feel heavy. Okay, why? Because they don't know this word. Because they don't know the headache. Okay, this is another problem. Okay, and then the next is about pronunciation, because it is the case is about the something in COVID-19. Okay, for example is I cannot smell the aromatic of flower. Nah, this word flower, because the mispronouncing, another student cannot get the point of the flower. And then they mean the flower as a flower or tepung in bahasa in Indonesian. Okay, according to the in-depth interview, the student get mispronunciation due to the lack of practice, especially in what they have almost the same pronunciation, like flower and then flower for bunga and then flower for tepung. And then the last is but the fondly. Okay, according to the observation sheet, the students tend to deliver unclear statement. They frequently said when speaking. Okay, because according to the in-depth interview, the student feel doubly because they confuse it.
For Mr. Ahmad Ferry Fatoni,
Yes.
you can go directly to the last for the conclusion maybe, because the next session for the second session start now.
Okay.
And I want all the presenter and all the participants to join in the second session. I'm so sorry. Maybe you can go to the conclusion. Mr. Ahmad Ferry, okay. You can go into the conclusion maybe, because the second session will be start
the conclusion. Now. Okay. And then for the conclusion, the implementation of learning material expression by offering some help with the role-play method dealing affected by COVID-19 for nursing students went smoothly. Okay. Smoothly, even though they only use few expressions, creativity and word processing was still being lacked. Pronunciation of some word in English was also a problem because many students do know how to pronounce correctly, and then so that's why they have low fluency in saying some word or maybe in speaking. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Ferry Fatoni, Ahmad Ferry Fatoni. So I will close for Mr. Ahmad Ferry Fatoni session about question and answer session. I asking for gift because the second session will be start. And now I'm going to the next presenter for Dr. Nitesh Kumar Upadhyay from Galgotia University, India. Sir, are you there, sir? This is for the
Yes,
last
ma'am.
presenter.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dr. Nitesh Kumar Upadhyay. You can start your presentation now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So good morning, good afternoon, and somewhere maybe it's good night too. I'm Dr. Nitish Upadhyay, Associate Professor of Law at Galgotias University and Research Advisor at South Ural State University, Russia. I will be discussing today with a very good topic, that is AI and its impact on cyber warfare. As you already know, artificial intelligence has entered all walks of our life, including care bots, autonomous vehicles, even there are autonomous restaurants as well. And we are using Siri, we are using other Google-based technologies for solving our day-to-day problems. So artificial intelligence has a great impact on the cyber world as well, including when I'm saying cyber warfare, the warfare against the population, property, government, and weapons. So in this today's presentation, I'll be discussing how AI can possess a challenge and how AI can also be used as digital defense or cyber defense. So AI is basically a science devoted which makes machine think like human being and act like a human being. And when you're talking in terms of AI, there is something which we say rhetorically is machine learning and deep learning. Sometimes we get confused, but these are certain subsets of artificial intelligence, and there is something called feature learning as well. What is cyber warfare? Understand very simply, whenever you are doing a war by using methods, internet and computer, laptops and electronic devices, it will be known as cyber warfare. It could happen in many ways. As I already told, cyber warfare could happen that you damage a property, some military installation you damage, or you hurt the combatant or the population, or you hurt any government machinery by hacking their financial codes, by hacking their, let's take if a dam is there and you hack a dam code. And Later on, if you want to wage a war against the state, you release all the water that was stored in the dam. So maybe there will be a lot of water will go, and because of the flood situation, there will be a lot of human life loss will be there. So, various ways you can use cyber, and this cyber, when mixed with artificial intelligence, it becomes a little more tough to understand. And also, we need to be very vigilant that what it could do in future. Are we ready for such kind of challenges? So, basic discussion in today's my session will be how this can have an effect on autonomous weapon, use of drones, cyber technologies, autonomous military vehicles, autonomous weapon system. So whenever let's take cyber criminals through various social engineering or through various honeypots, they can lure you to hand over sensitive information just by sometimes clicking on a link, an adware or a malware or something like that. And then they will get these important informations, which could be as sensitive as an information related to your nuclear command and communication. It could be also related to any weapon that you are using, the kind of the quality and potency your weapons have, and what kind of damage that they can create in war. So you have to be ready when artificial intelligence is there. And let's take, there could be two type of a thing that you can do when you're talking in terms of cyber warfare. One is a cyber combat, that you launch an attack on the other state through cyber means. Other is cyber defense, that whenever an attack is launched against you, you try to defend it. So let's take, if a war is going on, and there is one more bigger problem, that even if you're not a party to a war, this artificial intelligence and their capacity of manipulating through deep fakes and through data manipulation, data diddling, you can be a part of a war going on anywhere in the world. So let's take Russia and Ukraine war is going on. I have an artificial intelligence device which can hack the code of a particular nuclear weapon or a particular anti-tank missiles. I can launch that being here in India or anywhere in the world. Even if I'm not a direct part of the hostility between Russia and Ukraine, I'm not participating in war, but I can, because I have an access to artificial intelligence. And this artificial intelligence sorts my job out by finding out the vulnerability of a computer system or a computer network that all these autonomous weapons or weapon systems are using. And then I can launch them. I can escalate a war between any country. I can use nuclear weapons against any country. So there is, like when you say that how artificial intelligence works, it works in a ODA loop, that is observe, orient, decide, and act. Most of the time we see that the science has gone so far, but this act part is kept controlled by human intervention. So some human is there, we take control of this act. So let's take, if a drone is there and you want to attack a place, so drone will first observe where they want to attack. You are sitting on a system. Can you please mute yourself?
Ntar ke seminar. Noro seminar mbian.
Samadit, can you please mute yourself?
Mungkin kan kita keluar.
Akun bukan begitu.
Keluar.
Bukan mood dulu. Bukan saya mood nih kak.
Masa.
Thank you. So when you say that how artificial intelligence works, so let's take, there is a drone, autonomous weapon, which is going to attack on one particular country or the combatant or a military installation. Now this first will observe whether this is a military installation or it's a place where humanitarian assistance is provided. Now it will orient that, okay, what kind of capability, what proportionality of weapon I should be using against this particular target. If it's a person, what kind of weapon I have to use. If it's a military, what kind of weapon I have to use. If it's a military installation, a big installation, then what kind of weapon I have to use. Then it will decide, and finally the act. There nowadays, or better say than since last 1 decade, most of these act which AI device can perform by themselves. But here the control is taken by a human being by saying that, okay, some human intervention is there, would decide whether to act on a particular place or not, because there can be some inherent biasness in artificial intelligence devices, which can cause a lot of damage to human rights, humanity, and especially during wars. There can also be targeted attacks. There could be espionage that you can do through artificial intelligence. You can also collect various data and maybe when there are precision attacks, so this is to be used in defense, cyber defense, not cyber warfare. So somebody is attacking you, you can maybe, after hijacking their basic codes and intelligence collection and analysis of the data, you can remove yourself from a queue of a precision device or a precision attack that is going to happen against you. So it can be used for surveillance of whatever action you're doing, whatever you are planning. It can be also used for intelligence to find out whether there is something wrong or right that is happening. Right now, during the Ukraine and Russia war, Ukraine is using a facial detection, FRT, facial recognition technique, to identify whether the person belongs to Ukraine or belongs to Russia. So to fight against people who are coming from Russia. So there are a lot of these defense also. When you're saying cyber warfare, artificial intelligence, after gathering right data, can also be very useful for cyber defense. And the other is that it can create, when you're talking in terms of cyber warfare, it can create a malware which can speed up or which can destabilize a particular system or a particular weapon or a particular technology used during war. And this could be really dangerous, because if you get a control of it and you hijack the system, and if you have hijacked the system, you have a full control and you can do anything with these weapons that you have hijacked. Next is something that is very serious, is deepfakes and war. When you say command responsibility, I have written command responsibility and deepfakes. So command responsibility is whenever you are going for a war, there are two sets of responsibilities you have during war according to international humanitarian law. One is command responsibility, another is individual criminal responsibility. So if you do something without orders from your commander by your own self, which is a crime, which is an international crime according to international humanitarian law, is taken as individual criminal responsibility. If your commander gives you a direction, which is an international crime according to, let's take Rome Statute, war crime, crime against humanity, or genocide, then the commander is responsible for command responsibility. Now the issue is that if you have artificial intelligence can create deep fakes. What they do is they like, I'm delivering this lecture, they will read my body language, they'll read the kind of a word that I'm using, and with our permutation combination possible, they'll create a deep fake, which could be a video and audio both. And now this video and audio can actually give a call. Maybe you have done a deep fake of a commander. This commander calls the unit head or supervisor or the platoon head and tell him or direct him to do certain things, maybe attack a particular unit. But this is not an actual person. This is a deep fake by artificial intelligence. So what will happen in this case? This will become a little tough to find out. No doubt through scientific, expertise, people can find out that this is a deep fake, but the damage will already be done by then. Till the time you will find that it's a deep fake, because somebody, a platoon or a unit must have already attacked a particular unit. By using different honeypots, where you can just click on a link and you give your access to of your server, of your system network and devices to the person who is sitting remote, it becomes very tough, because now cyber fighters can have the data which all they require. They also understand the advisories, weapons. They also understand the action modes, and also how to save from such action mode, what is the potency of the weapon and what damage it can do. So deepfakes could be really challenge to the future generation war. And even there are high advanced deepfakes work is going on nowadays. There are various kind of bots that are being used, from chatbot to carebot. There could be also a bot be used for espionage and things, by just stressing the information from the military. This could be really dangerous in future. And whenever you talk about artificial intelligence and international humanitarian law, the major issue that comes is that if something is being hacked, it malfunctions, or it has a behavioral manipulation or undetectable errors that are being created in artificial intelligence device, then this will be known as data poisoning, and this data poisoning may lead to violation of international humanitarian law. So there are certain important questions that whenever you are implying, or whenever these cyber war is taking place, that how these AI devices can resist hacking, if these autonomous autonomous weapon system falls in hand of terrorists or other organization, or even in the head of the advisory, what will happen, and what is the requirement for distinction and proportionality. So when you say that basic before attacking any place, you have to do two things. Two important essential is there. One, distinction. So you have to find out whether it is important to attack a particular place or not. So military necessity is like you will attack all the military places, military installations, but you will not attack any civilian place or civilian installation or any cultural property having a blue shield or any other place where humanitarian assistance is being provided using a Red Cross or Red Crescent sign.
Mr. Dr. Nites Kumaru Padai, can you
Yeah.
make it faster? I'm so sorry, sir, because
No problem.
the second sessions have started. You can join with all the presenter and all participants.
Okay, thanks. I'll just take 1 minute and I'll finish it off.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
So by just poisoning information, military necessity and distinction could be really bad, and we need to fight these issues. Also, when you're talking in terms of proportionality, whenever an AI is used for cyber warfare, the principle of proportionality may not be followed. And what are the suggestions? Know your code. So keep on changing your code, remove all the behavioral manufacturing and anomalies and malwares, and go back to the basics. Keep on training people not to click on unknown links or receive requests or share their data. Monitor your logs, what kind of logs people are using, whether there is a data breach or investigation that is being done. So you become really aware of any AI device or any other cyber criminal doing cyber warfare, and looking for patterns of AI, how they are attacked or what kind of work they do when they are going to do a cyber warfare. So this is all from my end. Thank you very much. If there is any question answer, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is for the last presenter, and I will not open the session of question and answer because the second sessions have started. I just want to say I'd like to thank to the all speakers for the information and interesting presentations. Give the applause for the speakers and for you all. Thank you. And all the participants for the very active participations.
Nitish sir, I need one thing, because it was a wonderful information, because I was having so many doubts, dilemma. It was crystal clear presentation. I'm very happy, sir. Only one thing I need from your side, because I can write something, because you told about warfare and all those things. Nowadays, these AI is using by commercial type of companies, or all these companies right now. So whether I think they are having certain impact over the performance of company. If a company using artificial intelligence, they are more effective in terms of their performance, because they ultimately solve the problem of customers and consumers. Am I right, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can use this
We use every day almost Swiggy and Zomato, and whenever we complain, a chatbot comes and talks to us till the time we don't escalate to a human being.
Right. I'll be meet you on LinkedIn, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for Mr. Satish Chandra Tiwani, and thank you also for the last presenter, Dr. Nites Kumaru Padai. I'm so sorry because you have limited time. I'm really sorry, Dr. Nites Kumaru Padai. So thank you for our presentations, and your certificate will be contributed on the second sessions. Don't forget to join. And now I want to say thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Namaste. Bye-bye.
Thank you.